I'm not playing. I see y'all back there. Sailor salute! You can pick whichever hand you want. It's okay. Welcome to Magical Girl Bootcamp, where we will teach you how to fight the forces of evil and look pretty while doing it. And now I would like to introduce you guys can sit. I would like to introduce you to your super special kawaii host, Uncle Yo!
Thank you. We are about a year into doing this panel. I'm so grateful that they gave us the hour and a half because I promise you I will take up the entire hour and a half. This is a topic that I care about a lot. Taught me a little bit about what we're really going to go over for the last hour and a half. Greetings and beatings. My name is Uncle Yo. I'm a geek-specific stand-up comedian. That means friends don't let friends watch dubbed without popcorn. You got to download it. You go the extra mileage for the extra calories. Welcome to Magical Girl Bootcamp. We're going to start off with this insane predilection and idea that I have, that gender is not nearly as big as marketing or television corporations would have you believe. It might not even be the little fleshy part that hangs between your legs, might not be the entire basis of your identity. It might actually be your education, where you come from, your nationality, your parents. Who knows? Identity is bigger than one simple item. And over the last, over the last year, my eyes have kind of been open to empathy, feminism, and sympathy, really trying to break down the gender barrier. What I would love to do by the end of the panel is to train you how to fight off the forces of evil, the forces of entropy, the forces of really internal and external darkness. I don't want you to leave as superheroes. I don't want you to leave as superheroines. I want you to just be decent people. I want you to leave as role models. Because as the middle of 7 and only boy, take your time imagining what that was like during prom season. Middle of 7 children, only boy. They were amazed and surprised. The first cartoon I watched religiously was Sailor Moon. I was surprised. We will go into that very soon. And over the last year, I got into a weight loss competition with friends. It was called Lose 10 Pounds by Teco Shokan out in Pittsburgh. So it was Lose 10 by Teco. I did my absolute best. I got into better shape. I brought my blood pressure down. I cut a little of alcohol and caffeine out of my system.
One shot.
We will do more over the next month or less over the next month.
2 shots.
Depending on how... 2 shots. Depending on how well this event goes today. There are 2 major spheres that I want to introduce you guys to, that is Eastern and Western animation. I'm going to make the argument over the next hour and a half. We're moving toward really good progress, actual possible feminist progress. And when I say the F word, you can really just substitute for equalist. I have this theory that gender is not nearly as big as an issue as we want to think that it is. First off, let's start over in the West. It makes sense because this is where we all come from. We live in the Western Hemisphere. A majority of American culture is influenced by Greek or bastardized Greek, also known as Roman, or English culture, because that's kind of what we were settled by. We were settled by people too conservative for the British. Yeah! Pilgrim pride! Regardless. The big example that young girls have for role models in American media, as narrow a pigeonhole as I can make that bad boy, the Disney princesses. We're seeing them come back harder than ever. Now that Disney's basically run the monopoly on what media we consume, they kind of are the Borg of media. Pixar, you animate well. You animate well for us now! Marvel, make now! No introduction, just kind of a devour. All hail the mouse. The Disney princesses are coming back full swing, and there's interesting 2 schools of thought that seem to be forming up on social media about the validity of including younger and older.
Don't worry, I got this.
Disney princesses against more leading ladies. First off, these stories come from, anthropologically speaking, we're talking about the Brothers Grimm. These are brothers who lived around the 17th, 18th century in Germany. They wrote down all the stories that their grandmother grew up telling them. These were morality plays. These were warning stories. If you read the original Brothers Grimm, everybody dies. It's Game of Thrones with princesses. More princesses and gypsies, but more dead princesses. It was grim, it was dark, because the #1 killer of women back then, second to men, was childbirth caused by men. Boom, we're the best! Men are good at killing women. Look at this, it's kind of all we're good at. Most of us don't even practice that crap. Most of our Western princesses, most of our early Disney princess mythology is coming from writers like Hans Christian Andersen. They're coming from the greatest fan fiction writer of all time, Walt Disney, who was he was ripping off Frankie Baum, he was ripping off Hans Christian Andersen, he was ripping off Poe in some cases, he was ripping off Charles Dickens. They were ripping off the Brothers Grimm. A couple of things that I need to lay down before we jump into Eastern Japanese magical girl anime to show the parallels between stories that are geared toward young girls, meaning stories that have young girls as the protagonist. The point of the protagonist, you need that empty shell for people to project into. More often than not, does anyone remember, let me give you an example, an action-oriented movie, a movie dedicated to boys or boys who want to drag their girls in. Does anyone remember any of Jason Statham's characters' names from their movie? No, it's bald, angry guy driving and shooting. That is his job and function. It's a cookie-cutter character. Sometimes he's steering with his left eye, sometimes his right eye. Same freaking character, okay? By the end of the panel, one of the major things I want to bring up is that internal conflict and self-doubt. Do I, don't I, should I, shouldn't I, appetite versus responsibility should be far more compelling than do I kill you with the bullets or the laser beams? And the answer is always bucking bronco, murder of crows, volley gun, shotgun, Bioshock Infinite taught us all. Gotta say, Elizabeth Comstock, my favorite Pixar princess of all time. She leads the best escort mission of all time. What are some of the big drawing themes in princess stories? The ones that give us magical, specifically fantasies, specifically fairy tales. One is that there's always a magical world cut off from us, the world of magic, the world of fairies, the world of this timeless, weird lineage that lets you twist laws of physics before we knew them. The others, the outsiders, the fair folk, the gentry. How many other euphemisms are there in Changeling the Lost? A bunch. Princesses are in a very unique position where they are unlearned about the world. They're primarily innocent. And that ends up being a lot of Judeo-Christian march over in the 15th century when they decided we've got to stop women from enjoying sex at all, make sure that it's only for this purpose of procreating. And 500 years later, I guess we must be doing something right. Oh yeah, killing women, because it's a biological necessity for men. I would love to erase that from the culture if need be. A lot of the things that we have with our Western princesses. One, you come from a noble birth line. Your birth was predicted, it was soothsayed, it was written in the stars, your parents were obviously going to meet, you are set up in some way to be the main character. One of the other tropes that we see with fairy tales, with princess stories, is the wicked stepmother. And why is that? Because I just said the number one thing that's going to kill off your mom is going to be giving birth to you, Steven Universe. We're just here to guilt you on that one.
Spoilers!
Spoilers in episode 1? Episode 1 does not count as a spoiler!
I haven't seen it yet!
I'll give it to you.
Bambi syndrome. Oh, God.
Delicious. Anyone who grows into Bambi has not had venison. Go for it. Or grown up in Pennsylvania where they really are just massive tree rats. That's the best way to describe deer. Chupacabras. Your wicked stepmother is someone who's not your biological mother. They have no reason to care for you, but dad had to bring in someone to help run the farm, help fend off the gypsies or the chupacabras at night. So they had to bring in someone who may or may not like you. And if you've ever noticed another parallel between Western fairy tales and princess stories and Eastern magical girls or even basic shonen and shoujo stories, the dead mom is always put up on this heavenly, holy pedestal. They're seen with wings, they're seen as angelic, they're seen as these identities and these themes that we should always attain to. You'll see it in Fruits Basket. Hondotaro's mom heeds the shrine to her mom because all you see and know of her mom is, she was awesome. Go get him, Tiger. You're always the best. You see it in Cardcaptor Sakura. You'll see it in any story where they mention the dead mom, that they are up there with the divine. They're there to give you the guidance, and that's really what a young girl and a young protagonist, prepubescent, is always looking for. Guidance, mentorship, leading into something like leadership and leading into sympathy and empathy. But let's go into one of the bigger criticisms. Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, what do these bitches have in common? They spend half the movie unconscious. Unconscious. Why is that an interesting character? Why would we even care about that?
They don't care. They have top billing.
Yeah, good point. They're the title character. You will watch them sleep. In Japan, there's a whole line of fetish, but moving on. It's Japan. princess is unconscious half the time because there's sort of a Carl Jungian running theme in mythology, if you will, of maturation. One of the biggest differences that is so hard for a guy who's just been steeped and deep fried in American media consumption, the big difference between men and women, if you didn't grow up listening to 90s comedy, men laugh, women judge. Here's the deal. Girls have 3 steps of their lives. Everyone starts as that sort of toddler prepubescent, and you're at the perfect age to watch someone die or get eaten by a titan, whatever it's going to be. But then puberty comes around. Guys have 2 stages of their life. Little kid, ball shot, boom, I can pump up a baby, yay, death. Young girls have 3 separate stages in their life. There's prepubescent, and then there's the growth and maturation to become a woman, to become a mother, to become something of a higher power, someone who can teach. You are able to create life from there. And then they go into menopause. They go into a point where their physical attributes get replaced by their mental attributes, by their emotional attributes. They become the mentors. There's this full, beautiful circle that is repeated again and again in our literature, again and again in our fairy tales. The princess going to sleep or being captured and put away in the high tower, not necessarily to make her defenseless and unable to rescue herself, but that can also be extrapolated as a metaphor for maturation, for becoming the woman. When she comes down, it's usually by beautiful white guy with a strong jowl, except probably with the Tumblr generation, it'd be like Matt Smith on a moped, slays the evil dragon that represents sexual ambivalence and sexual freedom, pulls her down from the tower. Now we can marry. Now you can become what you were always meant to be. You can become a national standard. You can become the flag bearer. You can become that which sits on the throne. You become what everyone should lean to want to be, a queen. The highest possible queen you can imagine. Rest in peace, Mr. Fahrenheit.
If only.
The man pulls off women's pants better than most women. Better than most men pull off manly pants.
Forever queen.
So that's what we want to do with Western mythology. So just to kind of start massaging your heads before we go full on shiatsu. I will be putting on the heels to go into that little misogynistic spot behind your scapulas. Let's go into that metaphor a little bit later.
No please.
Western versus Eastern princesses. Before we start drawing even more parallels. We have some of our differences, but more importantly, we have a lot of our parallels. In a princess story, in a story where the main character is feminine, is a woman, identifies as a female, however you want to do it. Their tasks are very different from the manly characters. Let's go into the way that Japan even sells manga to kids. Shonen, shoujo. Is anyone unfamiliar with those terms? I'm glad you asked. I used to do this at year 1 as Uncle Yo. Anything shonen, everyone is fighting, by the end everyone's dying, so you've got intensity lines. The whole purpose is I can punch that better than that guy can punch things. If you had a badass girl in a shonen, whether it be One Piece or Bleach or Naruto, they show up, do one cool thing, and then the Trinity effect takes in from the Matrix. Trinity starts off the Matrix beating up 10 guys in midair, and then she slides down to a motorcycle, and it's awesome, and the rest of the movie she's completely neutered and useless because Neo comes in and trumps it all. Wild style. We saw this happen again in the Lego movie. We saw it happen with Hiccup's mother and How to Train Your Dragon 2. Woman starts off as physically badass as everybody else in the film, and then you go be awesome, man, because you gotta save the world. That's how it is. For young boys, it's all about the thing in my way, punch through it, kill through it. Female stories, on the other hand, something a bit more dynamic, if you will. They end up being collection stories. Something has lost its way home. You've got to make a home for it. Cardcaptor Sakura, she opens up the books and the cloud cards scattered throughout the world. We want to find ourselves. Like when you're 13 years old, your parents drop you off at AnimeNEXT for the first time, and you suddenly downed 3 Venom and Power Shots. You don't even know what that is, but you're going to go to the raid for the rest of the night. Maybe you'll show up the next morning. You have no idea how to control yourself. So it's up to Sakura to bring them back home. We've got your fun and bring power home. Look at Princess Bubblegum in Western Animation's Adventure Time. Here is a devout atheist in charge of a world full of ignorant, I'll say it, ancient, magical, worshipping idiots. She is in charge of morons that don't believe in her ways of science, of logic. Everything she tries to do, all of her missions, when she builds Goliath to be a logical successor to her. She trains Jake and Finn to be logical successors to her. She tries to Frankenstein the Earl of Lemongrab, so there's a successor. In case anything happens to her, the Candy Kingdom has a leader. Everything goes wrong because they're not empathetic. They're not able to see different sides of the argument. You see Bubblegum learning trust when she turns off the cameras. I'm P-Bubs, I keep tabs on everyone. That critical episode where she turns off the Batman multiple screens on everybody, and lets them do their own thing without her constant thumbprint and guidance. The way she made Ricardio, the heart guy, to fix up the heart that is in. There's your metaphor, there's your symbol, however you want it. To give the Ice King feelings back, to give him sympathy. So women are not just things that you keep in a box and make out with when need be. They're people you converse with and you learn with. The two most important holes in your head, out of the 7 holes there, your ears. Close everything else and use those, you will learn what's going on. And there's always one person in the panel who just thinks, there's always one person for the 7 holes in the head just becomes this news to them. He's having all the time at the haunted house. He's right. What if I pierce my nose? Try piercing your skull first, it'll go much better. Let's go into one of the most positive stories that a young boy can watch. Not so much Star Wars, but Leia is so badass. She gets captured, she gets imprisoned, but then she picks up a light, but she picks up that she strangles Jabba the Hutt, and she gets a blaster. And every single time has to be bailed out by Luke Skywalker or Harrison Ford, and there's nothing she can really do for that. Versus letting your young son watch The Wizard of Oz, a story about a girl completely thrown out of her natural environment. She's in a world where science and logic make no sense now. It's the first of 16 novels, I want to say, steampunk, pre-steampunk. Yeah, read the actual book. The 3 of them take on this bus-sized lion tiger in a fight scene that's 30 pages long. The book was great. The movie is colorful. Let's give the movie that. But here's the thing that Dorothy's trying to do. Here's a dirt farming girl from the middle of Kansas who teaches intelligence and timeliness to think things through to the Scarecrow, a man who has no skeleton system. Then you've got the armored Tin Man who can beat you out in the fight, but he has no empathy, no heart, no sympathy. She's going to install that. The king of the jungle, the lion, does not believe in himself. She gives him that courage. Courage, intelligence, decency. Things that you would wish that they would scream in NYPD before they start giving them blue suits, badges, and guns. But, you know, eventual progress. We will get there eventually. A lot of more people need to hear this panel. Or let's look at the very start of Inuyasha. The whole MacGuffin is the Shikon Jewel. Here's the big jewel that lives peace at the first episode. Never mind. Goes off like Katy Perry. It's a firework! It just scatters all throughout the world. And every Shikon Jewel makes a demon more powerful, but corrupts them and makes them want to hurt things more. They don't know how to use that power yet. So Kagome, Inuyasha, male, female, demon, human. There you go, the balances of the 2 worlds. Go to gather the shards together and put it back together. Bring it home. Have the nationality there. That's the kind of stories that you're going to get from Eastern and Western girls at the same time. And a little bit more about, if I can, the gender bias of shonen and shoujo. A lot of the criticisms that I can still give on any show that's geared toward girls, 90210 or Gilmore Girls or almost any shoujo I've ever watched. This is so boring. She already knows she likes the guy, just say it and move on. A lot of social constraints, a lot of issues with that. Whenever they try to pull that into a fighting-oriented shonen, whenever the main female character has the chance to trump and one-up the other man, she's immediately shot down because it seems the only thing she can contribute is to, like, give them over her heart and vagina at the same time. Bleach, One Piece, Naruto, every single one of those main perspective love interests have confessed liking the main character whose response every time is like, when Hinata, who after training with Tsunade, is a combat medic who can shape change, teleport, cling to walls, and punch a continent in half. That's half the X-Men combined. She goes to Naruto, I gotta slow him down. I love you. You're right. Naruto's reaction, okay. Sasuke, wah! Why won't he love me? She's completely removed from the story. It's not necessary because it's actually a bromance about a stalker gay furry coming to terms with his identity. That's what Naruto actually is, if I may be crude for just a moment. But you see my point? You see my point that someone just as badass, who could become the next of the 3 legendary ninjas, is completely removed from the story and not necessary because she doesn't love Sasuke no more. Bah, she doesn't want to punch Sasuke or punch things no more. Bah, let's push that out of the way. Internal conflict. Should I? Shouldn't I? Will I? Won't I? Do I even have the right to? Can I help this person? That's Shakespeare. That's literature at its best. That's every great novel you're going to read. Internal conflict, gentlemen in the room, is so much more developmental and compelling than physical violence. Any idiot can survive a crisis, as Chekhov put it. It takes day-to-day living that really wears you out. Physical reactions to a physically attacking world is not nearly as compelling as, do I leave my family to go to college? Can I trust these people not to self-destruct without me? What will the world be like without me? Indecision. Do I, don't I? And a lot of the great magical girl anime I'm about to talk about are based and centered on those indecisions. However, one of the other themes that come up all the time is your drill instructor. These are people who are touched by the magical world, by your heritage, to teach the young girl, the maiden if you will, who can either prep to become a warrior, an Amazon, what have you. Senketsu is both of the clothing world and of the scientific world. And why is he the most masculine character? Because he's a young girl's school uniform, and it doesn't matter. I am human in clothing. I am male and female. Together with Ryogo, we are everything this world seeks to divide. Put together, we will drill through your face. Cardcaptor Sakura, it is Kiro. Kiro remembers Cloud Reed's previous life. I remember you in your past life. I will help you collect the Cloud cards. I know some of their weaknesses. I will help you. Please give me English muffins. They're delicious. The last half-crappy role Eddie Murphy was a part of. Just conceptually, Mushu does represent Mulan's heritage and background. He is in touch with her family, with her generation, the things that she prays for honor, for devotion. Guide me, help me. I will guide and help you as racially as possible. Sebastian is the advisor, the left ear into the right ear of King Trenton. Let's administrate this, let's do this. So of course it makes sense. I always listen to you, my daughter will always listen to you. We tried. Try singing. Luna and Artemis, literally. We were there on the moon. We remember the moon. We will help you defeat the Negaverse and Queen Beryl. Just listen to us. You are a princess, Usagi. This is how you used to be. This is how you can be before. You can take your mom's place on the throne. You! You son of a Kyubey is, there's a lot of reasons I build up and finish with Madoka. There's a very good reason for this panel that I kind of wrap up with it. Let's jump back over into the West if we can temporarily. Let's do the original Sleeping Beauty, which if you just mute that movie and put on The Dark Side of the Moon, you are tripping balls the rest of the day. That is a beautiful film. Story-wise, it's crap, but it's a beautiful looking film. You realize that Aurora and whoever pretty white guy, prince guy's name is, doesn't freaking matter. Those two have nothing to do with the story. It is literally the three fairy godmothers versus Maleficent. This is a turf war between two changelings, the Sun Court and the Moon Court, fighting one another. We'll raise your daughter for 16 friggin' years. We'll give up her magic. Let's see you do that, Maleficent. Oh, that's great. You gotta grow. I'll turn into friggin' stone. Oh, you're a big, black, surly, beautiful, feminine dragon. We got a white guy with a sword. You're going down. Ooh.
Those white guys, man.
Those white guys throwing them swords left and right, boy. Them whiteys. There's a reason I have our favorite ginger Ron Weasley up here for a very good reason, and that is I really believe that Hermione is the main character in the Harry Potter novels.
Yeah.
She's the actual main character. Take out Hermione. Where does Harry get? Past the opening doors of Hogwarts, dead. Without her by book one, he's useless. She is a time-traveling freaking wizard who's able to learn more spells than Ghost Deer. Okay, she's one heart away from being a goddamn Time Lord. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think Hermione Granger is the real main character of that story. Why is it that every one of our magical girls have to transform? Why do we have that trope? One is the same reason. We have the creators of Kill la Kill here. We have Trigger Studios here. You can ask them, why did you draw so much from the magical girl anime? They said, we grew up watching it. We love it. That's our homage. That's our treatment. That's our thank you, our send-off to everything that we grew up on. So in one way, it's a game of telephone. It's whispered down the lane. Well, of course, Princess Tutu has to transform because we saw Sailor Moon transform. Well, Sailor Moon always transforms because we saw Cutie Honey transform. We always saw Cutie Honey transform because Cutie... It just goes back. But symbolically, what are we trying to get with this? You are weaponizing fabric. You're taking what girls are typically known for,
clothing, stereotypically, if you will, I understand. There's a reason gay men stay in the closet, that's where the fabric is. You are taking something and weaponizing it against the darkness. You are fighting fire with fire. You are learning from your enemies just as much as from your mentors and from your friends. True form change. But who are the people that you're going to be fighting half the time? When you are a magical girl, when you are a princess, like I said before, in a shonen, it's going to be, the bad guy's going to be clear. He's going to have the widest chest, the squarest jaw. He's going to be laughing the most at all-screen movies. Why are evil people so happy? They're like, they have all the money. Evil people always laughing. I gotta punch him the most. You can pick out the villain within 30 seconds in almost any AnimeNEXT anime out there. But with a magical girl show, yes, you have someone standing atop. And if you've ever noticed, this is an interesting thing and observation for me, it's always a princess. For my big example, you don't ever meet a queen. They're never titled a queen in a fantasy unless they're evil or have taken possession. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. It is Princess Luna, Princess Twilight Sparkle, Princess Cadence. We don't really have a queen on screen until Queen Chrysalis of the Changelings. These are ponies that have no cutie mark, have no role in the community, have no identity. They are faceless, they are clone troopers, they are orcs from the Lord of the Rings series. They have no identity, they will take yours by force. There's your perfect metaphor for individuality adding to diversity, adding and strengthening the group. Diversity actually strengthens a group. If you get a bunch of people together who all believe in the same thing, there's going to be no difference of opinion, and you're eventually just going to get into a little Salt Lake City situation where no one thinks differently at all, and they're trained not to think differently. We'll talk about that little cult in just a moment. They are your dark, evil shadow. Your evil queen from the negative dimension could be you, ruler, but instead of having a close-knit group of friends whom you know, whom you've interacted with, whom you listen to, you have an army of bitches. They have no free will. You've stripped them. It's either psychic control or it's economic repression. You have people who don't even get colored in or get different names. You just have a group of putties who will do the same motion no matter what. You have minions. You're aiming for friends. You're aiming to be a solid, empathetic, intelligent, diplomatic queen, if you will. That being said, the rest of the panel, I name a magical girl show, I talk about why it's necessary for you to see said magical girl show, and for the most part, I call out someone from the audience to join me in a 10 repetition workout. You do get a shiny free button. You can high five Thrak the Cyclops if you want. We'll be around with him all day, by the way. Something that I did last year was a web series called Dungeon Crawlers. It's a fantasy sitcom about monsters living in a dungeon. They have to first survive being roommates. Screaming about feminism, who knew it would hurt the voice? These are your veterans. Now, ideally, I should start at the very beginning. The Osamu Tezuka manga, known as Princess Knight. He's a 10-year-old girl, transforms into a 16-year-old girl. She gets a sword, she gets nice, poofy Shakespearean pants, she gets a horse that turns into a Pegasus. So you've got your She-Ra archetype already there. Not an anime, so I'm not going to mention it. I could probably start at the first magical girl show, arguably Cutie Honey, but it's really more 18 plus and inappropriate for this audience. I could start at Creepy Mommy, which was 1984, 1985, all available right now on AnimeSouls.com. I have not watched all of Creepy Mommy, so it would be inappropriate, so I'm going to start at an old classic. I am slightly older than this anime, thank goodness. Cardcaptor Sakura took Clamp. Clamp, who gave us, anyone else? Chobits, X, Ray Earth. They took everything that they learned from Ray Earth and they condensed it down. Rather than a massive world-changing apocalyptic story, here's a tiny suburban story told within one neighborhood of Tokyo. Sakura is the reincarnation of Clow Reed, the world's most powerful mage and magician. The world does not need magic anymore, doesn't have it anymore. All of his Clow cards were locked up in a book. She touches it in a library, and the cards, as I said in the intro, scatter out and go away and do their own thing. Part one is her using her friends, her resources, her wits, praying to her mom, and using Kiro's advice to collect the cards. Part two, they're still loyal to Clow Reed. There's a climactic point in the anime where she has to put her magical thumbprint and essentially her identity across all the cards. You work for me now, guys. We've been through this together. I know you're resistant, but we've worked together before. Help me now. And what I like about this show, it explores a lot of different facets of love. Sakura has her heart invested in a lot of different places. In her brother, in her brother's friend romantically, platonically, and a bunch of friends that might not reciprocate platonically, but then again, it's Clamp. We forgive them for this. It's delicious and full of feathers half the time.
There are a lot of feathers.
What I like about this show is there's arguably not really a main villain. There are certainly rivals. You need a good rival in any story. But no one is trying to collect the cloud cards to take over the world. Mwahaha! What will you do then? Destroy iTunes. Mwahaha! Have something that doesn't need to update every 6 weeks and delete all my podcasts. I hit the subscribe button last week. Why don't you recognize this, jackass? There's no real main villain. Even her biggest rival, Lee, just ends up handing her over his cards when he admits, you're better at this than I am, go for it. You're better at this. I'm man enough to admit that. He's man enough to admit that! Thank goodness. I'm man enough to admit that I don't know how to use the walk at home. I'm not. My fiance can. Points to her, let her do that. I'm better at cleaning. That's my little man badge there. Man badge. She's also a very transformative, very chameleon role model, I want to say, because her, let's just say friend, special friend, who has an unlimited budget camera fetish as well as a costume fetish, is always giving Sakura different outfits for very different occasions. Doesn't really change it, no, but it does show a nice adaptive skin that Sakura is able to learn and adapt to any situation. There are situations where she wants to use either Windy or the jump card. This always works for me. You're going to have to use this one. This card hates me, but it's going to get the job done. We're just going to have to learn from the other person on the team rather than doing the one thing that I want to do. Compromise. Ooh. It's a new concept, I know. We're not good with that in America. We have VH1 reality TV. We don't really have compromise to begin with. I like the show a lot. It's an older show. They haven't redubbed it over the way that they have recast and redubbed the old Sailor Moon. I'm really hoping that they do. That would be really sweet so that Kiro doesn't sound like Ryu from Ronin Warriors, which is to say a stereotypical surfer from California. Whoa, dude! That doesn't sound like a Buddhist line at all. No, it doesn't! Oh, God, Fieri! I'm not gonna eat this toilet! What's happening with the food? There's a cooking network now, because Food Network is just Guy Fieri shoving things into his head. Why does like every celebrity chef on Food Network look like Sonic the Hedgehog or a Super Saiyan? Like, why is that a thing now? You gotta bleach your hands! My skin hurts!
Why can't they all be out
I should save this one for last. But it's so troperific, and so many anime, and so much of a generation of otaku came from the next show I'm about to talk about. We've got to start it off right away out of the bat. Take your time, applaud if you need to, Sailor Moon.
Hang on. I can do this right.
I think you can. I believe in you. Not enough sparkle! Put some sparkle in that staff!
I'm borrowing it from Cosplay Burlesque. It's okay if I get sweaty. Yeah!
You're perfect!
I know. Thank you, Jesse. This was the show that taught me girls are different than guys, but girls are similar to guys. This is a show that taught me that girls can kick just as much butt as boys. She-Ra can kick just as much butt as He-Man. They can beat down just as bad as the Ronin Warriors, but they can look pretty while doing it. Girls can be heroes as well, which is amazing when you think about just briefly. I talked about this on one of the last episodes of my podcast we just shut down, We Are the Geek. There's a Mother's Day episode where I comb through geek media, comic books, science fiction, novels, manga, to find a story that centers on a mom who has to protect the family. And like even an action-oriented mom, but the only examples I was able to get where they are the center of the story, Secret of Nim, Wolf Children. Everyone else is just kind of ensemble character where they happen to be a mom. Anime World is full of dead moms. There's a waiting room of just Yui Ikari and Edward Elric's mom just watching down going, yeah, now you go to change the world. Now you leave home.
Moms.
Propaganda. Sailor Moon was worth it for that season and a half on repeat dub. Early 90s, get up at 6:30 in the morning, watch it again and watch it again and watch it again. Because it was introducing a generation to anime without us even really knowing. Because we'd watch it, but we didn't realize where it was from or what it was. I mean, I'm the generation that didn't know if the Frieza fight ended. I don't mean how, if, at all. They just repeated this. Why is this the great transitional material? Why did this breed a whole generation of otaku? There's a director whose name's going to come up time and time again in this panel called Ikuhara. We will go into his works very, very, very soon, trust me. He was the one that took this flashy, pretty, over-the-top manga for which the new Sailor Moon Duckface, Sailor Moon Crystal is emulating. Took a story and drew more out of it. Why is Usagi, or Serena, if you will, of course we'll forgive you for that. You can always trust your first. Why is she the perfect hero? This is a ditz, this is a klutz with no ability to protect herself. What does she have going for her? She trusts and loves and believes in the people around her. Sometimes that's all you need. Because these were the girls that introduced you to the stereotypes of Japanese culture. Yes, it was a monster per week fight. That was a key. That is a time-tested and trusted format. Kamen Rider has been doing it, and will do it forever and ever, amen. Pokemon will do it forever and ever, amen. It works. But why we trusted these characters? They were all diverse, and they told us a bit about what we were going to learn about Japan. You had the modern Japan, Amy, Sailor Mercury, the smart one, the computer-savvy one. We don't even know what she's thinking of half the time, but she's already thought of a way to beat the monster. You have the classic girl. You have the one in touch with the spirits, in touch with evil. She knows there's evil. That is Sailor Mars. Namaste. You are the hot one. Ba-dum-bum-bum. She's the fire-casting one, the purification of fire. She is the priestess. I'm about to say the shonen priestess, and I know that's completely wrong. Why am I blanking? Shinto, thank you! The Shinto priestess. She's the old, Amy is the new, Venus is the veteran. And until Crystal, we didn't get her character, really. Venus is the martyr. Venus is the one who's done it all before, doesn't want to see her new friends actually take a beating, so she leaps forward every single time. She's kind of the Monkey D. Luffy of the group. She has her own cat, she has her own video game line already when we meet her in the series, but she's also the martyr. She's the heart and the spirit and the never die attitude of Japan. And then you've got possibly one of my first instances of gender bending, you've got Sailor Jupiter. Not the actual gender bending of the Outer Scouts, we will discuss the Outer Scouts. Jupiter would kick your ass and then go home and bake a cake. All of that is badass if you want that on your team. She was the shocker, she was the tomboy, the athletic one. You could be pretty in your own way. Sailor Moon worked because they trusted her, not necessarily as a leader. We all saw that they constantly fought amongst themselves, but they compromised. The same thing Lauren Faust did with My Little Ponies. There are a lot of great episodes, and my favorite episodes in the earlier seasons are the ponies that have nothing in common, like Applejack and Rarity. They're constantly fighting and bickering, or they're too similar, Applejack and Rainbow Dash, because Dash is a fucking bully. They're always fighting amongst themselves, realizing sometimes for the group, you compromise and you let things go. Sailor Moon introduced a generation to anime by repeating itself again and again. It's the one fandom I've seen continued throughout universally in the dark times, like the Moe Wars of 2010, in the dark times when every convention was no longer an anime convention, when it was just 4chan the LARP, or Tumblr at the sleepaway camp, when it was all like an adventure, Homestuck My Little Pony Con. Those were fine too, but for a while anime took a second level, considering this is the stuff that got us into the con to begin with. Why doesn't it get the heart and the love of that? Now there's a director we'll talk about in a little moment, a guy named Ikuhara. He wanted to kill off Venus and Tuxedo Mask by episode 10, and he also wanted to make 2 lesbian scouts. They said, no. You've given us over 100 episodes of brilliance, but we won't let you do that. So Ikuhara said, okay, all right, no lesbian Sailor Scouts. I'm going to go off and make a lesbian anime. What was that? Racing anime about cars. Lesbians. What made me care about this show? Toward the end of the first arc, they're in the Arctic. Queen Beryl has risen, grown to the size of a skyscraper. She's bigger, more powerful than any enemy Usagi's ever fought before, and one by one, her support team is ripped away from her. They finally get the idea to send more than one monster against the sociopathic 15-year-old cutting through the ranks of people. They're stripping away everything that she has, and it's why this series influenced Joss Whedon so heavily when he developed Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The same thing, for the first time, the ditz girl who's always tripping, falling on herself, crying because she doesn't think she's pretty enough, crying because she's not getting the guy, toast always falling out of her mouth in the morning, she's always late to class, frozen, alone, and powerless, facing something the size of a glacier, and for the first time, her eyes do the downward slant. They do that Itachi slant. They do more of a shonen look. And she just looks up at the thing the size of a glacier, having no plan, no backup, no weapons worth a damn, and says, "You're going down. You've hurt the people I love." I came back again and again, and I still care about this show. A director I mentioned at the beginning, a guy named Ikuhara, said he would go off and make his own anime about lesbians. He went off, and he gave us this. He gave us Revolutionary Girl Utena. Now, there are some shows that divide fans, and that's good. Do you understand why? Because it opens up an argument. If everyone agrees on everything, that just makes us a cult. That just makes us the modern-day Republicans. If everyone just agrees that something is good and doesn't find little holes in how it can improve itself, we're just going to get into the same problem that we are in our healthcare issue, the same problem that we are right now in student debt, the same problem that we are now in homelessness and all these other issues. But Revolutionary Girl Utena divides fans like a hangnail. This is a show that tricks you from the first episode that this is the exact same magical girl show, fight per week, that you have been grown up to believe it is. And it's not. Ikuhara is one of those micromanaging directors. He is to anime what Quentin Tarantino is to fight scenes. Just needing every muscle, every increment, every musical key, every line, every word, so micromanaging. Utena is a girl whose parents pass away, a prince, because it's abstract, it's a story, it's a fairy tale within a fairy tale. A prince gives her a rose ring and says, "Don't ever lose faith in your mobility. Don't ever lose faith in your nobility, because one day you might be the one to break through the shell of the world and revolutionize the world." And the best part about this show, they never contextualize a single damn word of that. They don't need to. It's open to interpretation. It's symbolic. It's psychological, if you will. One of the first major anime I ever watched that was psychological, as in it spent time, so much time, inside the character's head, understanding their past and their motivations, and why these were unique, fascinating characters. Utena goes to a school run by a tyrannical, and really, for the most part, secret. It's not even a schoolgirl show, because you never see the bitches in class. The student council, all 5 of them have the chance to be a great prince, to be a leader, to be a president, but they all have their dangerous pitfalls. They get repeated and shown up, and they get developed.
Domestic violence.
And, yeah, a hell of a lot of domestic violence. They compete each other on this massive field, surrounded by roses, with an upside-down floating castle in the sky that no one can see! The first episode is that a castle? Everyone fights now! We're just gonna ignore the castle, okay then. And they fence left and right. They fight each other. They all have a unique sword style. They all have a unique stance because whoever wins the rose duel gets the rose bride. They get Anthe. She's just a regular student. This girl makes Rei Ayaname look like Asuka Langley. That's how much personality this blank slate has. But the second and third time you start watching the show, you start to realize your damsel in distress might actually be the villain, might actually be the real protagonist, might actually be running the entire show, and they never tell you it directly. You just have to realize that's what he's doing the whole time. It's one of those smart animes. It's the one that requires multiple watching. It requires you to think and argue and research and learn. It's like the movie Donnie Darko, because every time you rewatch Donnie Darko, there's a whole new other level that movie takes on. Watch Donnie Darko again, but divided between the polarization emotions of love and fear. Every scene complements and self-destructs what the other scene tried to do in order. And then you place it in time travel order, conspiracies set aside. It's all free for you, all 26 episodes. It's classic, cel-shaded animation drawn by hand. It's beautiful, it's complicated, it's gonna be angry and confusing, guys, but it's worth it. Has anyone's first anime ever been Full Metal Alchemist? Okay, close. There are a couple of people who, in my life, are so influenced by that show, or their first major anime, like me, was Trigun, or their first ever, this is a thing and we can get more of it. They just hand it off. And it opens up your eyes and your world, because there's continuity in a show, there's consequence, there's character development. It's not just one character hits the other with something violent, and then the next scene, they're completely reset and it doesn't matter. Ren and Stimpy, Tom and Jerry, Hanna-Barbera. It becomes animation, a medium of storytelling, as opposed to a genre for kids. It's one of the big experiences that we as American Western fans who grew up thinking, well, it's a cartoon, so it's clearly for kids. There's no reason that someone who was closeted or terrified of who they are would get anything out of watching a movie like, I don't know, Frozen!
Just let it go.
Or,
Yeah. Sorry, that was easy.
That was a bad
I know. Let's move on. From Revolutionary Girl Latina, I go to Princess Tutu.
Oh, wow.
So you've heard of it. Princess Tutu is a great gateway anime. I would say it again, it's a great gateway anime for Western friends who you want to break into anime, but you don't want to start them off on something too crazy, too obscure, too fan servicey. Princess Tutu is a delightful, dark Brothers Grimm story that happens to be told by Japan. It's like I want to say like an 18th or 19th century little German village. There was a prince, Prince Muto, the prince of the world. Prince of what? The world. Shut the hell up. He fought the raven. His heart was shattered. Shouldn't he be dead? Shut the hell up. His heart and his emotions were scattered. Do you see the thing now? Scattered. A young duck who wishes so hard that she could fall in love with the prince, so wishes so hard that he would either go into bestiality or she'd become a girl. She becomes a young girl named Duck. Shut the hell up, it's fantasy. She has the power to transform into this beautiful eggshell. A lot of it is modeled after, if you will, Swan Lake. I almost said Black Swan, and that makes it a very different anime. They have that anime already. It's called Perfect Blue. Okay. All right, just making sure that none of you are now old enough to drink with me at the bar. I understand. Well, all right, moving on. She can transform into Princess Tutu, a magical girl princess who solves both internal, external, diplomatic, and physical fights. Every possible fight in this show is resolved through ballet. And before you dismiss it for that sentence that I just said, understand that's how this world operates. In a male action movie, it's operated by fire and bullets, and you live, you die, you live again. You shoot it, you throw a car at it, or you shoot the car at it. In this world, it's ballet, it's physical prowess, it's dance. She's a ditz, she's a klutz, but her heart is always in the right place. And what I will boast is Princess Tutu is actually kind of terrible at her job. Beats the monster, yes. Heals the broken hearts, yes. But one of the first major emotions she puts back into Muto, fear. Whoopsie. But her primary attack, she comes up against this animated suit of armor full of an axe. She comes up against a living fire elemental. She comes up against someone that is possessed by darkness. She comes up and says, Dance with me. Tell me why you're hurting. Why are you hurting? Talk to me. I will listen. They do their poses. It's framed slowly and still framed. And you learn about their backstory. I'll give you a key example. There's an abandoned flame down below. It's threatening to burn down the whole town because everyone used to come around my light. Everyone used to come around my wharf, but now no one wants to pay attention to me, so I'll go out in one big final kaboom and they'll all burn with me. Princess Tutu's response, okay, so everyone you've ever loved has moved on. Maybe you should too. What? If this were a Western anime, oh, so sorry, no one likes you. Here's some Prozac and some Vicodin. You're so pretty. You're pretty and popular. You're gonna be popular. Up until they get renames of Disney, you will look like everybody else. You will be like everyone else. You will think like everyone else. Tutu actually says, shut up and move on with your life. If everyone else has, learn to love again. Try something new. Tomorrow's another day. Freaking move on. I took 6 years of counseling before I even learned what that sentence meant. But this anime does it, tackles it beautifully. It's a wonderful psychological show. The first season is this delightful little fairy tale with ravens with swords and a dancing cat. He's a kitty cat, and he dance until dance. Because it's all a dance school. That's the joy of it. That's kind of the school life aspect of it. Some darker stuff. In the second season, the show does a bait and switch. The show becomes the first show I've ever seen where the characters turn to their writer and say, screw this, we want a better ending. We deserve a better ending. We're going to break out of these casts and stereotypes and roles that you've assigned us.
To which the author, who is real and has been narrating the whole story,
what the hell? No, I control all of you. I have ego issues.
He freaks out the way that every dungeon master in high school ever does when his first campaign of D&D. You have to go down this path. No.
But then I took away all of the paths and you go down this path.
Are we going to have to fight your stepmom again?
You know she's a vampire.
Why?
But you don't know Denise the way that I do.
Oh, Michael, may you never DM again. Princess Tutu is an emotionally charged show that will leave you loving and wanting more. It's adorable. There's a lot more blood than you think there's going to be, trust me. Don't let the character design fool you. There's dark, esoteric stuff going on in this. After Princess Tutu, I don't exaggerate when I say the Neon Genesis Evangelion of the magical girl genre. The magical girl genre is known for several tropes. Yes, stupid little girl transforms. She sprays and sparkles everything with like love and forgiveness, and then the monster goes, "Oh, I learned to be your friend now, bitch!" And this came along. Every postmodern reading I've ever read or analyzed or thought about with Monica works out. Maybe all 5 of these girls are the different decades of Japan post-World War II. Maybe all 5 of these represent the modern otaku. Maybe all 5 of them represent a different financial or a different religious view of death or a different religious view of life after death. And all of those actually work out really well. Versus Evangelion, where Anno went off his depressions and then wrote Eva, the creator of this went back on his antidepressants and wrote Madoka. Now, I've mentioned right at the start of this panel, sometimes internal conflict is more compelling than external conflict. Should I, shouldn't I? This is a story where the main character doesn't even put on this outfit until the last 10 minutes of a 13-episode show.
what are you watching the first 12 and a half episodes of? What could possibly be entertaining about, like, someone just Larry Daviding through
You realize it's a bait and switch. You think it's a magical girl show. And it's not. You think Monica's the main character. And she's not. You think he's a good guy. And you're half right. When you realize that the setup to Monica, regular life, this adorable little bunny cat thing calls out to you telepathically, you are special. You have the potential to save lives. You can have superpowers. Make a contract with me. What do you want? What do you want in the world? I can make it happen. You want her back from the dead? I'll make it happen. You want him cured of his blindness and cancer? I'll make that happen. You want everyone to come to your daddy's church and to love and follow your daddy's order? I will make that happen. All you have to do, you become a superhero. You get superpowers. You get to fight off witches, and you're going to stave off entropy and darkness and depression and suicidal thoughts and murder from the world. That's awesome. Yeah, and you gotta kill the witches familiar because those come from witches. Sweet, so little girls become magical girls. Familiars come from witches. Where do the witches come from? Sign here, sign here, sign here, date here, initial here. We'll get the paperwork over to Pamela. We'll get your magical powers within 2 to 4 weeks. Thank you very much. Goodbye. When you realize that Cube does not have the capacity for morality. He is just a commissions-based salesman. He's Willie Loman from Death of a Salesman with less prostitution. Well, more telepathy, if I may. Monica is a story in which they're not fighting against witches, they're not fighting against themselves. It's very much the Hunger Games because every magical girl is on a countdown. You don't just keep your powers forever. You have to keep killing witches. So in some cases, you may have to invent more witches just to keep it going, just to keep the high going, just to make sure that you stay powerful, you stay top dog, that nothing else can kill you, because everything else does want to kill you. Hang on. Magical girl, teamwork! Mommy's gonna notice me forever! Come back, senpai! Don't lose your head over it! Take some aspirin. Oh, Sayaka's arc. You see her go down the entire path, the entire cycle of the magical girl, and when you step back and realize how long this conspiracy has been happening just to keep the world safe from demons, from witches, from the other side, from entropy, from the desire that society has to crush and kill and collapse in on itself. Someone has to carry that weight. This makes the argument there must be a scapegoat. Sometimes that scapegoat doesn't have a choice. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they look at oblivion because it's the only thing ahead of them. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it's nobler in the mind to take up slings and arrows against a coming tide of sadness and illness, and by facing them, ending them. This is a story about what will you sacrifice to protect that which you care about. How hard do you have to care just to get out of bed every day? And as someone who beat back suicidal depression, there was a lot that rang out to me about this show. Years by, you can just tack that off as another victory, if you will. But this was a show that somehow extrapolated abstractly what I was feeling deep down pretty much from 13 through 18. And I was so glad that someone finally put this to a narrative that other people could follow. Beyond my emotional resonance for this series, it's something we haven't seen in the Magical Girl show before. It's a bait and switch. It's a psychological show. Cute on the outside, that on the inside. It's not witches and monsters. It's entropy. It's a lack of empathy. It is survival of the fittest coming. Because if you leave people alone in a room long enough, there's going to be a power structure. Something's going to break down so that when the series concludes the way that it does, as heartbroken as you are, you're grateful for it. That's as far as I can go into the show. We've twisted the genre up on its head continuously. You see, a ditzy girl wants to love someone, can't love someone, gets a group of friends, beats up strangers who come into their neighborhood because they started making trouble in their neighborhood. They put on a nice, pretty outfit, and they're pretty enough to punch things back. What is a show that would turn it upside down on its head and then pile drive it, but Trigger's very own Kill la Kill? I'm not of the opinion to throw my opinion. I can't objectively tell you why, as an anime fan, I recommend this show. I just have to trust my emotional depth to this. Please, you deserve this show, young girls in the audience. Your genitalia have nothing to do with how badass you can be in your life. This is a 26-episode show that parodies magical girls. It's an homage to anime from the 1970s. Why is it so over the top? Because the Trigger animators love a challenge. They love homaging the over-the-top personalities, the commanding characters. Ryoko is a savage woman. Her father's been killed. She's going to find whoever it was, form that scissor blade, and cut off their head herself personally. She's on a self-righteous path of self-destruction, and anything else that gets in her way, going to be murdered. She is a loner. She needs no friends. Well, she meets Mako. She needs no friends. Mako's family. She needs no friends. The entire school ends up backing her up by the end. She comes to a school on top of a holy hill, dominated by the sun goddess Satsuki Taratsu, who controls everything under her thumb. If you work for her within her system, you get rewarded. You come up from the slums up through a 1-star, a 2-star, a 3-star, then you get into her inner circle. And Ryoko looks God in the face and says, "I'm gonna punch that pretty face. I don't like this." It's a world where gender doesn't really mean anything. It's more thrown off, and yes, it does start off with some voyeurism, some panty shots. It gives that up once they realize, screw it, they're just going to keep punching each other. It doesn't matter what they look like or the cup size at all. Satsuki in episode 3, to combat Ryoko, shoves on Junketsu, forces her will through it, gets an even skimpier outfit, and says, in front of the people who worship her, if I had to beat you in the buff, I would. Oh, thanks. That's badass. No one questions why Satsuki is in charge of the school. Her personality and her leadership alone make her a quality. No one says, how is a girl this powerful? Satsuki is this powerful. You stop questioning it after a while. It's a fun show. It's an energetic show. It is as emotionally fulfilling, ladies and gentlemen, as Gurren Lagann was they took all the Yoko fan service from Gurren Lagann and made it into much more violence, which was even better. I really like what Trigger does. I love Gurren Lagann. I love Furikuri. I accepted Panty and Stocking for what it was. It was flawed, not the child I wanted, but I was okay with it because they made their own decisions about this. It's almost, narratively speaking, thematically speaking, it's almost perfect. Now, there's an amazing panel that one of your other guests, Charles Dunbar, will do. You can find this thing online called his retrospective of Kill la Kill. It's a 2-hour panel about how the first season of Kill la Kill is actually a retelling of classic Japanese mythology, including the Oni, the ogre, the resurrection of the gods, the founding of the island of Japan. And then the second season being a metaphor for the reaction of Japan's reaction to General Patton all the way through the end of World War II, the 60s and the 70s. Satsuki's arc is very much Japan nationally as an arc, instituting state Shinto, and then being humbled by this massive American force who wishes to clothe the world under one white cloth. The first time we meet Zebra Moth MILF, what's her name, Rakio, she's talking about Sing, she's talking about the fall, she's talking about the book of Genesis. What does this have to do with a daughter who runs everything the way a state Shinto boarding school, if you will? It's brilliant. It's a fun show. I recommend for it. From here, here's my question to you. This is where Magical Girl shows are going now. Now we have completely returned to our basics. Ikuhara is back. The guy who gave us Revolutionary Girl, Lieutenant, and Penguin Drum. He's back with a show. Literally translates to Lesbian Bears Love Bullet. I am not making this up. Rather than it being a show that might have lesbians in the background, this is a world about Romeo and Juliet. I'm sorry, Juliet and Juliet. A world where the bears went psycho, killed off people. We built up a wall of severance to sever that off. There is an invisible storm of girls. It's a show about bullying, a show about peer pressure. One girl lost her mother to bears. She will not stop until she has shot down every bear in the world. Some bears are able to appeal to a court, and the only 3 male characters in the show are the life cool, life sexy, and cute. Yes, thank you. This has got to be pretty as well. Girls have to appeal to a court of men. Is it cool? Ooh, is it sexy? Is it pretty? Okay, you can transform now. There's not really a monster, there's not really a boss monster per episode fight. It even breaks its own structure. It has its own repeated scenes, its own repeated memes. Well, we did an 1.5-hour episode on this on We Are the Geek. I had to because the 2 lesbians that I married, who are my best friends down in the artist alley, Judith and Natalie, I married them to a Revolutionary Girl Utena-themed wedding last year. I will marry anyone because I'm Universal Life Church, and if it makes you happy, do it. Just do it. It is the most direct metaphor. It is the most subversive metaphor. It's crazy. I have no judgment if you stop watching, but it's out there. Now, how do we possibly parody everything we know about the magical girl genre? The one way we've never thought to. Dingleberries. Cute, earth, high, defense, love, boy, battle. Magical boy anime, that's what it's called. Magical boy anime. A pink wombat drops in the middle of the earth. You're all going to be battle lovers and you're going to spread love. And the guys go, the hell are you talking about? When you say love,
Is that the love between a man and a woman, or a love for a man, a fine Cuban cigar?
I mean, when you say love, is it like my love of money or his love of women or their bromance? I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of love. Shut up and spread love! And the only enthusiastic one is the only one good at their job who goes over the top, and the rest of them don't even want to be a part of it. Episode 2, Enshan drop kicks the monster, starts blasting it with water. You're so into this. I'm tired and want to go home. I don't want to do this anymore. This is stupid. They transform, do their opening monologue. Love is life, love is death. Give your love to... Guys, we're still in the club room. No one can see or hear this. It's such a bad show, and I love it. It's the same way that Bastard is a terrible show. It plays with every trope, every monster that they fight, that they heal with love shower, love bullet, love is a different form of an otaku, a shutaway. They fight up the Hikikomori like Blastoise turtle. I don't want to talk to anyone. Get out of there so I can love you! And the bad guys have a little green hedgehog. He has the deepest voice. He I have to end on a laugh because it's such a stupid show. But I'm so grateful it happened. You need to parody something. A parody only comes out of love. I can only talk about the anime that I do as a geek-specific stand-up comedian because I've digested these shows. I've thought about these shows. I've stretched them apart. I've broken them down. Why am I doing this? Why do I love this? So that they can make fun of it in tight pants, not hot pants. I love too, you can tell their power level by how tall their pants are, or how effective they're going to be for the rest of the group. Falling love, beautiful love. Now you understand. The only other shirt I wear with this is the Korra/Aang shirt, because that's one of my favorite magical girl shows in Western animation. The question ends up being, guys, who is the prettiest princess of all? Who is someone of mixed heritage of both the weird alien fantasy fairy side and the human side, who will compromise both levels, has unlimited mentorship, has the potential to become the most powerful, but whose greatest foe is her own internal conflict, her own indecisive decisions? It's an hour and a half build up to that punchline, and it's just all over me every time. I love it. Gohan is powered by what I like to call the anime steam engine. Imagine you're running a steam locomotive. You have a pile of coal. Their heads are shaped like Krillin, Dende, and Android 16. Shovel, shovel, powered by the same thing that Gurren Lagann is, killing off their friends.
You have to say the word.
No, oh, Piccolo's dead. Thanks, jackass. You have to fight Frieza. He's killed off Krillin and Dende and Krillin again and Dende. It's a stupid fight. You have to fight Cell. Screw it. Kill off everyone. Just teach him that lesson. He needs that lesson. By the time we get to Boo, no one's going to be available for your birthday party. Because they're all going to die. I do make that joke, but it's fascinating to see. For me, Gohan is a DBZ what Kyle Rayner was to the Green Lantern, what Wally West was to the Green Lantern. You know, a kid who got really popular in the 90s, had this huge shoes to fill, and then gets completely trumped by the guy that came before him every single time. Because the whole story is, how long will Goku scream at this? We'll see how that new series came out. Everyone's so excited. Toriyama's making a new Dragon Ball. Okay, Dragon Ball is full of rape jokes, kind of exclusively, or maybe it'll be like Dragon Ball GT. None of these are good options, you fools. None of these are good options. You want Sarah Palin or Voldemort to be president? You get the same thing. My question is, are we progressing? Are we moving better? Because in the 80s, selling toys was the whole purpose. You had a cartoon because you had toys, stone protectors, Bucky O'Hare, get the action figures. That's the only way we can sustain this. We don't care about telling a good story. We got to pitch it to boys. He-Man, he's he and a man, and he just punches it. It's a man, it's a boy. Boys have, we need to, what's that other 50% of the population? The thing with boobs and a vagina. Girl, put boobs on it. It'll be the exact same voice cast, exact same production. It'll be the same freaking cast. Cross them over. We don't even know the difference. Her name is he, girl, she, screw. We don't care. We don't care anymore. Just get more money. Never forget, as much as I love Sailor Moon for Ikuhara's artistic influence, Sailor Moon always released a new character right around Christmas time. They were just as much a part of that toy building engine as anyone else is guilty of. And that's just how toy companies had to survive in the 80s. That's just how we had to survive in the 80s. But the concept that you could have the exact same show, and all they did was change their genitals and change their clothing. That doesn't change the show. These are still just as deep or unfunctional as the previous show before, as its male and or female counterpart. Versus the shows we're coming out with today that are being run by people our age who grew up watching and loving these things, but saw a way to twist it and make it better. Look at the difference between My Little Pony 1 and the thing we have now. 6 main female characters, 50% more main characters, female characters than Sex and the City. They've gone 5 seasons without a single romantic subplot. Suck it, Jennifer Aniston. Suck it, Carrie Bradshaw. Bit too personal, I understand. Understand, 6 sisters. I passively know everything about the show Friends, and I've never watched it. It was always in the background. Versus look at Adventure Time. A character can come out as anything in that fantasy world. You know, I'm half this, I'm part this, I'm secretly this. Finn and Jake's reaction every single time. Cool. Coming to the party on Friday? We're gonna dance and have tacos. Nothing matters to them. Doesn't matter what your orientation is. Doesn't matter that the pig and the elephant adopted a child together. Doesn't matter that like the rainicorn and the dog had 5 kids together. Doesn't matter that Jake is an unwed single father, kind of living estranged from his girlfriend rather than a wife. Doesn't matter. They're still decent people who want to see the best for the people around in their lives. It's a world with multiple rulers that learn from each other. There's a whole bunch of possible princesses, but no queens. Everyone has potentially to take the throne, but no one has anymore. Look at Steven Goddamn Universe. You're welcome. You aren't going to stop what we made together. We are going to stay like this forever. I am their fury. I am their patience. I am their conversation. And ongoing, I'm not we do this, questions asked. I am their conversation, give or take. All about the Gem Fusion, the Stefani episode, one of the most beautiful 11 minutes that television has cranked down the last 10 years, if you will. No one questions that the boy of mixed heritage of both weird, fantasy, magical girl aliens and a bum who lives out of his van in a storage unit, rock star hipster dad, who can't keep himself together or even clean or freshly shaved. No one questions that. Of course, he lives with 3 adopted aunts, younger, older sister archetypes, if you will, because they know things about him that he does not. They know what he's going to grow into. And by listening to all 3 of them, this wonderful dichotomy of personalities, very succinct, very driven personalities, and the fact that narratively speaking, we'll talk about it later on the podcast, this is a wonderful show that I would want a boy or a girl to watch. It doesn't matter, because gender's not a huge thing. It's much more empathy and sympathy. Almost every monster that Steven ends up beating, he ends up beating because he sees why they're hurt. Why are they yelling? What is their weak point? What do they want? Let's capture that off, as opposed to stab it, choke it,
Darn it.
darn it right in the face. Yes.
Those hips.
You were grateful for those under thighs. I'm a single jammies. I'm a single jammies. I'm a single jammies. Put your jams up. I think we are progressing. I think we're having gender-neutral viewing that is much more focused on having great narratives, great compelling stories and characters, than having action, than having, I don't know, romance, having characters grow and go somewhere else. I wrap up with a basic exit strategy. I know, I said a full hour and a half. We're going to do this. We're going to get out of here in time for the next panel. If you're interested, CDs and DVDs are with me. I will go outside this room. I'll go back behind this door, which is out into an empty hallway, and if you want cell photo autograph out there, I'm also doing the show tonight, 7:45 to 8:45. Exit strategies. What have I learned from being a straight, white American male, that privilege, and growing up worshiping female role models? I've learned a lot of stuff. Strength is not limited by a number that you can bench press. Mercy will reciprocate as often as vengeance. What you give will come back. Listen to other people. Stand together. America's not really a stew where everything gets thrown together. It should be a salad. Everyone is mixed together. They all have their own flavors, and it comes together. Cosplay is not now, nor has it ever been, nor can it ever be construed as consent. Guys, she looks adorable. She looks hot. She's rocking the cleavage. This looks great. May I please have a photo? May I have a photo? Thank you very much. Then what do if you have nothing else to talk to her about? This! Didn't screw it up. Woo! Don't look like a creep, but they still young. Just walk away. Let her enjoy. She owes you nothing. Identity has so many parts. Your gender is just one part of it. Celebrate all of those things. I wrap it up with a quote from Princess Tutu. Happiness to those who accept their fate, but glory to those who defy it. Yes, all women can be heroes. Moms, grandmas, older sisters, babysitters. And I wrap it up with a blessing from the Quran. Yes, from Islam. Write your injuries in sand so that by the next morning they're blown away. Write your blessings in stone. Remember the positive things in your life, because there are going to be so fewer of them. Because no matter who you are or what you want to, you can be pretty. Fight up the force of darkness. This is my 42-year-old friend Charles Battersby punching out Greg because he's Lolita Captain America standing up for justice. And this is my new spirit animal. This is a young black girl in the South who at the age of 2 told her mother for Halloween she wanted to be dressed as Thor. Her mom said, you can't be Thor. Thor is not for girls. Thor is not pretty. She pointed to Chris Hemsworth and said, Thor is very pretty! That being said, the 2 latest albums, Phantoms and Facepalms, as well, all 4 of my albums now are available for streaming on Spotify for free for you. They are available on iTunes and Amazon digital downloads. All the albums are with me in a physical form here. If you want, I'm happy to sign them. I am happy that you decided to come out and enjoy this at Magical Girl Bootcamp. I said no superheroes or superheroines, decent freaking human beings, sympathy, empathy. Go out and be good people to each other. Be the change you need to see in the world. Don't lose your way. Thank you so much for coming out to Magical Girl Bootcamp, everybody.